my dear yarn-loving friends. My name is Doug, and I welcome you to this podcast where I chat about all of my yarn-related makings. I am located in Albuquerque in the beautiful desert of New Mexico, where we have an unusually cast over day, and I know everybody holds their breath for some rain, which we really, really need. I have completed, if I want to call it that, the Fiber Arts Fiesta, which was an event organized by local fiber arts guilds. And it's a biennial event, but we haven't had it in 3 years now. And I want to thank everybody who stopped by and came to say hi, came to buy some yarn, came to chat about their projects, showed me what they've made from my yarn. It's just always something really fun to do, even though it's it's a lot of prep, it's a lot of tension ahead of time. But then once I do it, I enjoy it so much because I just love meeting the people. Yes, it was a good event. Once again, thank you for all of you who stopped by. And I want to say a special hello to Mary, who said she watches my podcast. It's so funny when someone comes up to you, hey, I watch your podcast. And I'm like, wow, that's so great. So thank you very much. And of course, I know a lot of you have said they would have loved to come if they were closer. And of course, I mean, you can't travel for a small event for a big distance. So I completely get it. But thank you for the well wishes and all the wishes that came my way. Yes, so where to start? One day I was wearing my scrappy sweater, the one that I showed you last time, and that was really fun. So I managed to weave in all my ends and it looked great. I was hoping to finish my corner to corner blanket, but I cannot even tell you, I am so tired of this thing. After Fiber Arts Fiesta, I worked on it straight for days and I'm still not done. So let me start with this and show you that last corner that is still missing. Short rows, but still, I mean, that's kind of like, that's a big amount of crochet that still needs to be done, but I'll get there. It's just at this point, let's get it done. That's how I feel like. And it will get done, but who knows when. Soon, I will make it happen. Next time this baby will be done. Even though we are planning a little bit of a trip, so that's not a good travel project, so I won't be taking it, but we'll see what happens. Last time I had started a pair of fingerless mitts and I finished those. I've used my pattern, the Duke City mitts. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, great for hand spun. For these I used sport weight yarn in the, not sure what it was. Definitely my Chama yarn, which is an 8-ply cabled. That gives you a gorgeous texture. And I just can't remember if I'm not really sure if it's the beekeeper's best friend or just a beekeeper. blame it on the secretary, as usual, right? So these are done, and what I do is I made them with 3mm needles, and when I am done and finished with the ends, I usually lay them down on my ironing board. I put a wet dish towel on them and I steam them. So it's kind of like just count to 3 to 5 seconds and let the steam penetrate, and then move the iron, and then that way I get a beautiful, like people use sock blockers, you know, and this is just the equivalent, I guess. So I can either gift them or they will go on in the box for the next studio tour. Hang on just 1 second. Mitts, Duke City mitts, and since this is my episode of all the finished things, you may guess it, my scapa is done too. I am so happy with this. It's very light. Of course, it has the warmth of wool, and it's very flowy and just really, yeah, very pretty. It's a little bit longer than what I usually make, which is nice too for a change. And yeah, like the A-line. I made a mistake, which of course nobody will see unless you are a knitter and you have super X-ray vision. Then you will be able to see that this I-cord here, as well as this, are a little heavier than this one, because don't ask me how and why, but this one is a 4-stitch I-cord, and this one, for some reason, I decided this must have a 3-stitch I-cord. Nonsense. It's just what happened for whatever reason. I thought I-cord, okay, 3 stitches. No clue why. Yeah. If you plan to make this, I do want to tell you about one thing. I would recommend to switch to a smaller needle size for the pattern at the end of the sleeves. I showed this last time. I had my sleeves kind of opening up. Yeah, didn't work for me. I mean, now they're just straight. I like it. I'm just not the, what's it called, bell-bottom type of person. Yeah, and the yarn is nice and knit, as I've said before. I used 3.5mm needles. That's this, and this one is Zia Wool Sundancer, and the I-cord, for the I-cord, I used 1 strand of Neighborhood Fiber Co. Mohair Silk Blend and Zia Wool's Velvet, which is the Baby Suri Alpaca Blend, and I held those two together. Yep. Very pleased. And it was kind of funny because Fiber Arts Fiesta is a 3-day event. The second evening, I finished the cardigan at home and woven all the ends, washed it, and I put it in my washing machine for a spin and I think it's a drain and spin cycle. So I did that, and indeed it was dry in the morning. I mean, that's one of the advantages of the desert. We don't have humidity, and things do dry fast if they're not dripping wet. And I had a few things that I was thinking about wearing the next day, but it was a fitted dress with a wide skirt that I ended up wearing, and I thought this was not the right fit to go with the dress, so I just wore a shawl over that. But yeah, I got it done, and so I put it on a hanger in the booth, and I was happy to achieve this goal. What next? If you see this, I've started this high desert yoke, a pattern by Gudrun Johnston a good while ago. And since it only grows by a few rounds every time I touch it, I'm not pulling it out every time I've worked on it. I will show it once I have made some, serious progress, because this is a slow project, but still a very portable one. So if I need something simple, and small that I can stuff into my purse, that's the one that I grab. Now is the stitch. Come here. Yep, that's this. Oh, and you know, I said I want to write down that pattern for the sweater with the minis, but don't worry, it's going to happen. But in the meantime, I felt like I have to somehow warm up a little bit with my pattern writing, because I haven't written down anything in a while, and it is a quite demanding task. You know, you would think, yeah, you just type up your notes. No, it's not that way. So I thought, okay, all of a sudden I had this idea. I've been meaning to do this for a while. I wanted to write another pattern for fingerless mitts, and I went through, occasionally I went through my pattern books and never found something that grabbed me. But the other day, oh my gosh, I fell so in love with a pattern, and a stitch pattern, and I started, and I am actually finished with the first mitt. And let me start by showing you the yarn that I'm using. You may recall I meant to use this for a cardigan for my daughter, but I wanted to make up the pattern, and I've been extremely uninspired. I took the yarn to Fiber Arts Fiesta, and everybody gravitated towards the speckled yarns and not these. So I still have all the colors. Some of those that I had kept for a cardigan, and they will eventually be available. And because they're a limited edition, I can't get this yarn again. So I got them for a good price from one of my suppliers, and I will offer them at a good price to you in the Zia Wool shop. On Etsy, if that price jack up is not too bad, because if it is, I will will say goodbye, Etsy, and I will make the plunge and have an independent website, but that's a whole different story. This yarn is called yucca. I named it after our beautiful yucca plants. We have a lot of those here in New Mexico. And this is just a pretty yarn, very soft with silk and merino and alpaca. It's a DK weight. So this is what I'm using. And let me put on the mitt so you can actually see it well, because it's kind of wonky when it's not on a blocker or on a hand, because the thumb looks ginormous versus the hand part. And here they are. And every time I put them on, I have to say, this pattern just takes my breath away, because it's just so pretty. And I did not come up with the pattern, so I'm not giving myself praise here. I think I can safely say this is a gorgeous pattern. And I just combined it with my kind of a combination of Duke City mitts and with slight variations. And what else can I tell you? I'm using 3mm needles, and I think I love how the cuff looks like, and I did that only on the upper side of the hand and not here where it rolls a little bit, and it's allowed to do that. And here, slightly different. Yeah. I don't have a name yet for the pattern, and there will still have to be a lot of, I'm still missing a lot of polishing and a lot of writing and a lot of work that still needs to go into these. And I've made the first one longer, and then I thought most people are not going to want them longer, so I'm going to knit my first version the way they are supposed to be for you, for other knitters. And my thumb, that was interesting, because I made the thumb the same way I do it for Duke City mitts, but here it was too large. So maybe a little bit may have something to do with the fact that this is a DK and these are a sport weight, but the same needle size. So that's why I did not expect that. Stay tuned. I will keep you posted. I will, of course, make another one. I'm still struggling a little bit with the smaller size on how I do that, but that's just a detail that's not so interesting for you. But I will let you know how this progresses, and just very excited about them. Yeah. So these are the mitts. And then I need to tell you something. We all knit for many years. I have so many sweaters by now. I have so many shawls. And by the way, I will at some point have an only sweater episode where I show everything that I have made and kind of talk a little bit about the different ones, but I may postpone that until fall. Marina of the strawberry Patch's podcast. She's in New Zealand. Marina, I say hello to you. She said, she encouraged me to do that. And I thought, what a splendid and fun idea. Yes, because she did it also in her podcast. Look her up. She's super fun to watch. And so that's the sweaters. And in regards to shawls, I have to say that I have, you may remember that I started that shawl by Melanie Berg a good while ago, and you have not seen that in months. I also started that lace shawl, which demands a lot of focus. Well, that's going to get done. But let me show you the Melanie Berg shawl. Hold on. So here is my Tam Do by Melanie Berg, a pattern by Melanie Berg. And I started this with La Jolla yarn. From San Diego, which is this one. Gorgeous. And then I dyed up these two to complement that colorway. I'm sighing because I realized that I just do not like, I mean, it's okay. The yarn is lovely and it's my Dreamcatcher base and it's a beautiful yarn, but it's not my preferred yarn for a shawl. And I've just handled all of my shawls at Fiber Arts Fiesta. I love the Roadrunner for a shawl. I love Sugarloaf. I love Sundancer. The Dreamcatcher is just a tad plumper, and I like it for a stockinette, but really not so much for garter. So what I will do, I'm pretty sure I will rip this out, and then I'm just really not sure what I will do with the yarns. I was just thinking I could make like a blocked color sweater. Can you tell I'm on a sweater kick? That would be actually pretty awesome, don't you think? Like some fat stripes. Yeah, and 3 skeins would be just enough. So that would definitely be an option. But this will get frogged. Sorry. And I just to make that clear, it has nothing to do with this beautiful pattern. It's a gorgeous design, Tam Do by Melanie Berg, and hopefully I will get back to the pattern and knit it with some other yarns. Like I said, either, one of my other yarns, or of course anything from any other dyer. I have plenty of yarns in my stash somewhere out there. In the meantime, Fiber Arts Fiesta, I brought a lot of different colorways, and you pull them out, you dye them up 4 weeks, they are dyed, they go into a bin and wait patiently for the event. And then when you pull them out of the box and you put them all on the hooks, it's just so fun to see them all out in the open. And you always have favorites as a dyer, and it changes so very much. I mean, a few years ago, I was all into the beekeeper series, and I kept coming up with new beekeepers. Then I have a lot of bright yarns, and constantly I feel like my style of dyeing changes. And just now, what grabbed me very much with everything that was on display were two colorways that are not my typical go-to thing, but like I said, it's kind of nice because we change. Sometimes it's the bright ones, sometimes it's the muted ones, or the more nature shaded ones, and it's always something different. In this case, for me, I pulled them out. Two colorways that I am thinking about using for a shawl. However, in my queue on Ravelry, I am Paper Dag on Ravelry and Instagram if you want to find me there. My queue on Ravelry has, I just looked at it, 370 shawls in it. In the past weeks, I've been going through those patterns a few times, and I am unable to make up my mind. So if you have a good idea, let me know. Maybe I should tackle again The Little Sister by Melanie Berg, which I think that's what it's called. It's just, it's a shawl with a nice textured pattern and that has all over the same. It's not like this one that the Tamdu that uses several colors, but and I think it would work with the yarns that I'm thinking about. So without further ado, here they are. This is one of them, and it's called Angel Wings. Oh, so in love. And this is again my honeysuckle base, which I love so much. As you know, it has merino, silk, and cashmere, and it just has a beautiful drape. It's very light. The silk just gives it enough of a coolness, flowiness, if you know what I mean. Just really like it. But then I also have something, my Sugarloaf yarn, which also, you know, is another favorite of mine. And it's light fingering with a generous about 550 yards per skein. And what I am drawn to is similar in the concept, also kind of more pastelish. And this one I have named Cherry Blossoms because it really reminds me of cherry blossoms. It has a hint of green, the bright pink, yeah, everything that reminds me of cherry blossoms in spring now. And yeah, you see I have two skeins, which would also yet again give me a generously sized shawl, 1,100 yards. And if you have a good idea what I could, for a pattern to add to my 370 shawl queue, let me know. I would love to know about that. Anything that would work with these colors. Kind of tonal, but not tonal. I don't know how to describe them. Yes, and those are my thoughts about the next cast on. Nothing, pretty much no idea. I just don't know. So yes, I'll see what happens. And I'll be looking forward to your suggestions. In the meantime, I do hope that you are all doing well, that you are healthy and enjoying whatever you're doing. A lot of people are gardening right now, like my friend Sherry, who has talked about that in her podcast. I'm not much of a gardener. It makes me laugh that just today I was pulling some weeds, which I call mint, my mint plant, which is taking over this little area where I have a few plants. So I was working away and all of a sudden I'm bleeding. Don't know why. I mean, I'm just pulling weeds. I don't know what happens. That's the extent of my gardening. Not there, really. I think my parents would be really, but they knew that I was not not much of a gardener. But then again, my daughter said she's not much of a gardener either. And I said, no, 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 that's not how it works. It skips one generation, which would be me, and then you are the one who will be the gardener. She doesn't see that yet. Okay, my friends. Once again, I hope you're doing well and enjoy some lovely knitting projects. And until I see you again, happy knitting. Bye.